All right, our second Adobe Spark project, assignment, whatever you want to call it. We're going to make a little quote page. I'm trying to kind of keep this stuff easy while we're not at school and you're having to do things online. Trying not to overcomplicate it too much. But I'll walk you through this and I'll show you what I want you to do. We're going to use Adobe Spark to make a quote page. It's going to involve you figuring out a quote that you like. Could be from a movie or some just famous quote or some quote that you've run into that you like. So you're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to find a quote that you like. Things that are going to have to be built in. You'll have to have an image to go with the quote. You'll have to have the quote itself. That's going to be text. And you'll have to have the attribution, which is just kind of a fancy way of saying who said it. Who was it that said it? Some quotes are anonymous, so even if that's the case, it should say on your thing, anonymous. And also, we're always looking for a decent design. We want to make a good look. Okay. On the handout that's posted, I've got all of the particulars here. And I didn't go into a ton of detail because, once again, there are too many options to show you in a movie. So you're going to have to get in there and dabble and play. You did great on the first assignment with the collage. So we're going to get in there and we're going to make something a little bit different and make it the way that you feel like it looks good. As long as you hit the requirements that are up here, these 4 things, you're going to be okay. All right, and make sure you turn it in when you're all done. So let's hop over here and take a look. All right, so I'm at spark.adobe.com. Do that. And you might, on your Chromebook, it might just keep you signed in. I don't know if it will or not. It might time you out. It might sign you in or keep you signed in. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and click sign in on the top right. And I'm going to do teacher or student. I'm going to log in with my school account. And I'm going to continue with Google. Fabulous. Now, here's how we're going to start today. We are going to, yesterday we just went straight to collage right here, which is one kind of graphic that you can do. This time I'm going to go way over here to the top right-hand side where, it's right here. It has my name and it says, tell your story with Spark. And if you look straight across here, view all, that's where I'm headed. So I'm going to click on view all. And then the next thing I'm going to look at here is in the top center of the screen right here. It's all graphics, web pages, videos. All right. I'm just going to go to we're going to do some of this other stuff later in the week, but right now I'm just going to go to graphics. And I'm just going to, you could really use, once you see the kind of thing that I'm after today, you could really use any of these. This is mostly about, this is mostly about size, dimensions, width, and height. That's what these are that's why these are tagged differently, like a Twitter quote or an Instagram ad or a poster. That's just width and height is mostly what those are all about. I'm just going to use this right here, Twitter quote. All right, and you could, go to see more and see what you got there, but I'm just going to go ahead. Let's see what we got there. Oh, okay. So it has some different kinds of, stylish layouts. I'm just going to start with this one that I saw right here. And I'll say edit this template. That's fine. Okay. All right. So here's where it puts me. And it's got a quote on it. And it turns out I'm going to use an Albert Einstein quote, but not that one. Not this one right here. This is a good quote, by the way. So anyway, this is what it gives me, but I'm going to change up everything. And that I would like for you to do that too. Don't just turn in something that was a template. Don't do that. Let's make it our own. Okay. So I'm going to do this. I am going to, replace this picture of the goldfish that's in the background. If I click on it, if I click off of it here, here, I'm sorry. Let me do this first. I'll just go to layout. Boom. And you could change the layout if you want to kind of lay out the different things that are different pieces that are on your quote thing. You could. There's, do what you want. But I'm just going to use this layout right here that we've got. This is the one that's currently using. And so that's what I'm going to use on mine. But if you want to switch it up, then go ahead and switch it up. All right. So I'm good with the layout. I'm going to click here on this background and I'm going to replace it. I don't want that goldfish. All right, I have an idea that I'm working with, so I know where I'm going here. I don't want this fishbowl thing, so I'm just going to hit that little back arrow and I'm going to do an upload photo. And I've got a photo in my downloads folder. Remember, if you are using your Chromebook, you can get things off your Google Drive. You guys did great yesterday, so you'll figure that part out. All right, so I am going to use this right here. You'll see it. It's coming. All right. Well, that looks fun, right? A bubble sheet? Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding you. All right, now the next thing, and I'm going to kind of click off of that for a second. And the next thing I'm going to do, and again, you don't have to do it like me. This is not, by the way, this is not the quote that I'm going to use right here. It's really hard to see right now because it's white, but I'm just going to click on it and hit delete on my keyboard. And I'm going to, this where it says Albert Einstein, I'm going to hit delete on that as well. Actually, it turns out I am going to use an Albert Einstein quote. All right, so I'm going to go over here to design on the right-hand side, and it comes up with all of these possibilities here. And look what happens if I click on one of them. It kind of applies this design to what I've got going on, right? And so if that's one way you could do it. You don't have to do it this way, but this is one way you could do it. If you see a design you like over here, you could kind of click on it, and sometimes you won't see very much change, but then again, sometimes you will. Sometimes it splits the screen, and so if you want to use one of these existing designs over here, feel free to do so. You can do that, right? That's a possible way. In fact, I kind of like this right here. I might try that out. All right, so, and see what they did when I chose that design. It took my bubble sheet back there, my like standardized test bubble sheet, turned it to a black and white. So I'm okay with that. Now this element right here, this kind of it's got an opacity setting. If I click on it, I could change the color of that if I wanted to. I could, there's all these colors. Look, I got all these colors. I could make that any color I want it to be, really. Okay, all right, so I'm kind of making progress on what I think I want here. Now, this is going to wind up this kind of green half opacity. It's not half, but you know what I mean. This kind of lowered opacity box here is where I'm going to put my text. So I'm going to go over here to add text, use my add menu and go to text. And again, you could use something, you saw yesterday, or you saw in the previous lesson, these are kind of preset little arrangements here that you can play around with, and you can certainly do that if you want to. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to say add your own text. All right, so here's my quote that I'm going to use. It's not everything, not everything that, I got to get it right here. I always get it backwards. Not everything that can be counted. Okay, I got it. Not everything that can be counted counts. You're going to have to think through this. All right, so that's going to be the first part of it. Boom, done. All right. And it's popping up with kind of a certain style here, and I'm going to move this up some, and I could play around with, do I want it left, center, right? Do I want to change anything about that, like the size of it? Do I want to change the font family? I've got all those controls over here. I could do whatever I would like to do with that. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I could go to color and say, well, I want to tinker with the colors a little bit. So maybe do we like that a little bit better? I don't like that really, but do we like that a little bit better? Play around with color. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm kind of happy with that. All right. Now, that's not the end of my quote. This doesn't make a ton of sense just yet. Not everything that can be counted counts. There's more. Now, I could go back to type, and I could add some more type, and I want to show you this option. It is also possible to duplicate an object, right? This text box that I have that says, not everything that can be counted counts. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to bring it down here. This one's going to say something different. So I double click on it. And here's the rest of my quote. And not everything that counts can be counted. And I'm done. All right. Now I think what I'm going to do with that is, if it will let me here, and I'm sure that it will, I'm going to go back to type. I'm going to right justify that. So I've got part of it left justified and part of it right justified. I might drop the size down just a little bit. I'm just kind of tinkering a little bit now. I'll select this text box, and I'm going to do the same thing with the size. I made it 36, kind of like that. Let's think through my quote for a minute. Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. So this would be the kind of thing that means, like, when you take all those standardized tests, it's measuring, how much do they know and how well can they solve problems. It's a real measurable thing. And I suppose all of that is good, but I'm not sure how much it really counts for, right? You get a high score on an I-STEP test. Congratulations. Proud of you. But does it really change your life? Does it really, count for anything really big? I mean, it's good, but does it really count? But down here, not everything that counts can be counted. Could it be possible that, can you really measure how good somebody's heart is? How kind they are? How much they care about somebody else? Can you really measure that? Sort of, but you can't really put a number on it, right? It kind of can't be counted, but it sure does count. Right? So that's what the quote means. People count and measure a lot of things, and some of those things that they count and measure, they don't really count for that much. But on the other hand, there are a lot of things that people can't count. They can't measure it very well, but it sure does count. All right, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I love that quote. All right, so the only other thing I'm going to do here is, I guess I'll just duplicate this one more time, boom, and it's my attribution. All right, so I'm going to double click this, and I'll come in here, and this is another Albert Einstein quote. Done. Now I want that to be, I'm going to stretch it as much as it will let me stretch it, and I'll pop it down. Yeah, I was going to make it smaller, but I'm not sure I want to make it smaller now that I look at it. So it's looking pretty good there. Man, you know what? I'm pretty darn happy with what I put together here. I've got this picture. Do I have an image? Yes, I do, right there. Do I have my quote on there? Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Yes, I've got my quote on there. Who said it? Albert Einstein. I have played around with the options that I have over here, on the right-hand side with, and my goodness, play around to your heart's content. I could do things like I could pick a text thing and try to add some style, some effects to it. Play around to your heart's content. Get in there and tinker, play, right? But when you're good, I'm going to come up here to the top left, and call this quote. I'm going to call it quote 2 because I made one earlier. All right, so I'll call it quote 2. Then I would come over here to the top right and download it. Once again, I don't care if it's PNG, JPEG, PDF, doesn't matter to me. I'll do start download, and it downloads my file. And I will show you here real quickly that in my downloads folder, and see, I'm not doing this on my Chromebook, but if you're doing it on your Chromebook, your downloaded file is going to be on your Google Drive. And you guys did great with turning things in yesterday. You got it all done. So cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. We're making a little quote sheet today. There's mine. You go make yours.